We now present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
A preview of Forward Fest is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. Hard as it is for me to believe, Forward Fest is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year as Wisconsin's largest technology and entrepreneurship festival. 8 days, more than 40 events, and more than 2,000 attendees. It is learning and connecting, games and food and music, entrepreneurship and social good, and it is uniquely Madison. And importantly, it is for everyone. My guest today, our Forward Fest board member and clinical development director at Exact Sciences, Laura Strong, software developer and crew and culture champion at 10 Forward Consulting, and also Forward Fest board member, Hilary Stohs-Krause, and Matrix co-working founder and Forward Fest board member, Tiffanie. Thank you all very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
10 years, wow.
It's amazing.
That's cool.
Time flies.
Welcome back, Laura.
Nice
to see you. I'd like all of your how do you describe Forward Fest when you're talking to friends and colleagues about it?
I describe it as really a series of events that are created for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Although as the years have gone on, we're really expanding, I think, our definition of entrepreneurship and who is included. I think, I've moved from small company land to big company land. Hilary represents the technical side, not necessarily the founder side. So I think we're really expanding our understanding of entrepreneurship as innovation, as development, as new and exciting products.
How did you get involved, Hilary?
That's a great question. I think an existing board member asked if I were interested. So I started working with Forward Technology Conference, which is the flagship tech event of Forward Fest. Right. And I was on the organizing committee for that last year and just had a really great time. Loved being involved, learned a ton about the festival and kind of what they do, and then was asked to join the board then for this coming year. So This is my first year on the board.
And you were an attendee, right? I mean, early on?
I was. I was an early attendee. I believe it was 2014 was my first year, and I was hooked after that. I made so many great connections and learned so many great things that I just knew I had to be part of that. So since then, we have started hosting events. It's the 5th year that I have co-hosted the Parentpreneur Networking event.
Right, one of my favorites. Hardest to pronounce, but one of my favorites. Talk a little bit about your background.
Oh, my background. Okay. So I founded Matrix Co-working here in Madison. So we obviously work with the entrepreneurial ecosystem and help to provide resources and connections in that community. And so,
how long ago was that, Laura? I always think of Matrix as being one of the earlier.
Yeah. We opened in 2013, so we were one of the first co-working spaces in Madison, and the first female-founded and owned and operated co-working space in Wisconsin. So.
And how about your background, Hilary?
I work as a software developer for 10 Forward Consulting. I've been there 4 years, and then the way that I kind of came to Forward Technology Conference is I do a lot of volunteering in the community. So I help run Madison Women in Tech, which is a local organization. I think we have like 1,800 women and non-binary members. I'm on the organizing committee for Startup Week in Madison, and so even though I'm not an entrepreneur, I do a lot of work within the intersection of like tech and community and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if we can ever get completely away from this, Laura, but even 10 years ago, because of the popularity of South by Southwest and the recognition of South by Southwest, there was just a comparison that was that was kind of out there. But from the very beginning, I remember a very conscious, thoughtful effort to make this not South by Southwest. So what is it about Madison and the Midwest that really differentiates it from other similar technology festivals?
I think one of the things that's interesting is we do get that question, that comparison to South by Southwest, but what we've built here really has been an organic evolution of our community. And I think if you look at the events and what they reflect year by year, it really is kind of this idea, this expansion within our own ecosystem of what people think they need, what they're doing right now. We've seen the progression of a number of our companies from early stage to kind of later stage, and we're not following a formula to get to the end point of South by Southwest. We're really our entrepreneurs, our tech community, we're really developing a festival that reflects what we need at this given stage in our development.
How would you describe the 2,000 plus people who come? Who are they?
Wow, it's everybody. It's
Yeah.
such a wide mixture of people. We get community members. I think one of my target events this year is not necessarily directly entrepreneurship focused. It's on facial recognition and the use of technology to obfuscate. To prevent facial recognition, which I find fascinating. Of course, there are a lot of business opportunities around it, but we have so many different events and topics that it's anyone from the general public who might be interested in something like that, all the way to design thinking seminars for people that develop new products. So it's really anybody and everybody is welcome to come.
You know, tell me if this is just terribly irrelevant, but to me it feels important that 10 years ago there were noticeably few women involved in the whole entrepreneurship startup community, at least here in Madison. And now it seems like, I mean, here we are. Is that significant?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the amazing work that women and non-binary people are doing in our city and in our state to really elevate the roles of not men in the entrepreneurship and the tech sector. I mean, Diane does amazing things.
Yep.
You know, Forward Fest, there are, I think, 4 or 5 different meetups that are tech focused just for women and non-binary people, which kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at the statistics nationally, right? Like, women are not getting what they need to be successful. And when they do get it, they're more successful. And I think Madison has been doing, and Forward Fest in particular, has been doing a great job of really recognizing that and trying to foster that inclusivity and equity and make those opportunities available for everyone.
And before I leave this topic, I'm thinking of my friend Sabrina Madison and what she's doing to encourage women of color in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
How are we doing in terms of inclusion and communities of color in this?
I mean, I think there's always more to be done, right?
Yeah.
There's always more to be done. We had a meeting, was that yesterday? Yesterday or Wednesday?
It doesn't matter since
Been a
this is
long week.
Sunday when people are watching this.
Right. We had a meeting recently,
Yeah.
and for Forward Technology Conference to look over some of the proposals, and I looked around the room and I realized it was all women and people of color in that room. There were no white men in that room, and that felt great, but I think we also need to make sure that we are continuing to look for other opportunities.
Yeah.
Right? So we're doing much better with gender. What about ability? Right? What about age? You know, there are so many different aspects to inclusivity, and I think we've been doing a good job of that. Like, okay, we're doing better. We're better here than we were before. Where are we going next? How are we going to get there?
Well, when we come back, let's run through some of the events at the festival and talk about how people might feel, who are not connected now, might be interested in wanting to attend. We'll do that when we come back, right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
Any idea how fast you were going today?
You speed, you lose. Slow it down in Wisconsin, or we'll do it for you.
Boy, it's just what I thought. It's all going to have to come out.
If you don't have dental insurance, paying the bill can be really expensive. After all, just a simple cleaning can cost $150. And other procedures like crowns and root canals can cost hundreds, even thousands more. But now you can get dental insurance for about $1 a day from Physicians Mutual Insurance Company. Call us for a free information kit. Our dental insurance helps cover over 350 procedures, everything from cleanings and fillings to crowns and dentures. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no deductibles and there's no annual maximum. Plus, you can see any dentist you choose. Take the pain out of big dental bills with Physicians Mutual. Call us now for your free information kit with all the details.
It's the summer clearance event now at Don Miller. Summer clearance means big rebates, like 20% rebates on select 2019 Ram 1500 Classic Crew Cabs. Get 15% rebates on select 2019 all-new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs. That means thousands off the Classic Crew Cab and the 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs. 15%, even 20% off MSRP and your Don Miller deal at Don Miller, your Madison truck headquarters.
Don Miller.
I am back with Laura Strong, with Hilary Stohs-Krause, and with Tiffanie Mark, all three board members of Forward Fest, which gets underway Thursday, August 22nd, 8 days. I've been saying 2,000. During the break, we were saying it's actually more like 5,000. I have to update my attendance numbers, which is just terrific. So maybe just talk about some of the events that each of you have a particular interest in and how they kind of connect both to the entrepreneurship technology world, but maybe to the broader community as well, Laura.
Yeah, so I'll say I think this year I'm kind of interested in some of the events that are around this idea that entrepreneurship is really a broader thing, this question of innovation and development of new products. Because I've recently transitioned from a small organization to a larger organization. So there are some events around, for example, design thinking, which is really a framework for problem solving. So this could be applied not only in a business setting, but also in your personal life. So there are a lot of ways that you can use these frameworks, these tools for problem solving in your personal life. So design thinking, some product management, how do you actually develop products within a large organization? So those are some of the events that have sort of caught my eye this year.
I hadn't thought of that. I mean, think like an entrepreneur without being an entrepreneur. What an invitation for people to think, well, I'm not an entrepreneur, so I'm not going to get anything out of this.
And you never know when that will change for you.
Right.
So if you put yourself in that mindset, then you can look at the problems in your life in a very different way.
Is there a hidden entrepreneur deep within?
I know for me there is.
Yeah. Events, Hilary, that you think are particularly interesting?
Building on what Laura was saying, for Startup Week in Madison, we did an event last year. Was the first year. We're doing it again this year, and normally Startup Weekend is 3 full days. It's kind of intense. It's a big commitment, and so we are doing a shorter version in 3 hours. And most of the attendees who come have not done anything that you would consider traditionally entrepreneurship before, and that's sort of the point. And this year we're focusing on women and non-binary folks, and children are welcome, and we give everyone craft supplies, and then they have to come up with some kind of product or service based on the craft supplies, and then they pitch, and then they evaluate, and so you're learning all of these very, sort of basic fundamentals of entrepreneurship in a very short time window, and it's in a really fun, relaxing environment. And I really love seeing people who are like, I didn't know anything about business, and now I understand how to do market research and how to validate my idea and how to make a business plan. And I think that's really cool. Again, that idea that this is not magic. You don't have to be a genius. Literally anyone can have an idea and see where it goes.
The 3-day, though, is still an important part of the festival, isn't it? Isn't that kind of one of the startup...
The startup weekend?
Yeah.
That's actually held...
That's held in April, usually.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Yeah,
I see.
So this is a micro version.
Okay. Because maybe I was thinking of the Badger Startup Summit. That's been part of it every year.
Every year.
I mean, that's a kind of a foundational piece of it.
Yep, we have a couple events that come back every year. So the startup show, or the Badger Startup Summit is one of those. The Forward Technology Conference and the Startup Showcase that we usually run right next to that.
5x5x5.
5x5x5 has been for the last few years. The High Tech Happy Hour is usually our kickoff, and then we round out.
I mean, that even predates, I think, Forward Fest, doesn't it?
It's the 15th anniversary this year, yes.
And then we always round out the week with a nice social event, which is our Capital Entrepreneurs Rooftop Social.
Right. So talk about Entrepreneurship.
Parent and entrepreneur.
Just because I think that's such a fascinating event.
Yeah, so we started it 5 years ago. I co-host it through Matrix with Brian Chan from SuperNet.
Yep.
And it really kind of stemmed from the fact that we are both parents, kind of struggling with those issues that you have with, what do I do with my kids during evening events? How do I connect with other people that are facing the same obstacles as me? And so we really thought it would be great to bring these people together, not in a family-friendly event, but a family-focused event. And then the fortunate side effect that we found from that is that the children started networking. And so now we have little networks of all the kids.
Right.
that has really been beneficial to the parents because, we're able to take our kids with us places, and they're looking forward to it now as opposed to having to get dragged along with mom and dad places, and so it's really nice, days off of school, things like that. So to really kind of create that community of people that share, the same obstacles. And
how many people come from outside of the greater Madison community?
I think that's growing, and that's something that we're actively working on.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've tried to do is to kind of reach out, particularly along the highway to, Milwaukee, but also when you look at some of the tech-focused work that's going on in Green Bay with the Microsoft partnership up there. So we really are trying to build those connections and down to Chicago. So I don't know the actual numbers, but we do work hard in terms of diversity across all different kinds of spectrums, and certainly geography is one of them.
I mean, it just seems like such an opportunity to introduce Madison to people and to introduce the community, the tech startup community. Have you met people from outside the community during the years? And
yeah,
do they keep coming back?
They do, yeah. I've had a couple run-in with people that have been year after year after year that I've actually ended up partnering with on other projects outside of the Forward Fest setting. So it's been very interesting.
What about this lineup is unique to Madison? I mean, how does it differ from how other communities might be looking at their own tech entrepreneurship communities?
I have to say, I think one of the things that strikes me, and it increases every year, is just the diversity of what we see. And what we see is brought forward by the individuals in our community. Again, this is all by the community. They decide what they want the events to be, who the speakers should be, what the focus should be. And so you see a lot of social good. You see a lot of outreach. There's an event around internships. The Department of Workforce Development is trying to encourage people to participate in their new intern initiative. So you see a lot of focus, not necessarily on the technology per se, although there is some of that, but really about how we build this ecosystem and how we do it in a way that includes the younger people, the older people, everybody from the different sectors, from just all over.
All right, when we come back, I want to talk just a little bit about our mayor participating in this, and then how people can find more information and participate themselves. So we're going to do that right after this.
Six Flags introduces the triple record-shattering Max Force, North America's fastest launch, the world's fastest inversion, and tallest double inversion. Go big, go Max Force, go Six Flags.
Update your floors with Empire Today's $50 room sale. Buy one room, get floors for all other rooms for just $50 each. So when you buy one room, it's only $50 for laminate in the kitchen, $50 for carpet in the bedroom, and $50 for hardwood in the office. There's no limit. Buy one room, and it's $50 for floors in each additional room. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. Baking cookies, yeah, it smells great, but it doesn't sell houses. Me? I use Spectrum. We've got a remodeled kitchen, smart appliances, and what? Who left these here?
You're doing all that?
All at once?
Oh, yeah. It's a Spectrum neighborhood. Why don't we check out the living room?
Get Spectrum Internet, delivering more speed, more consistently for better surfing, streaming, and gaming. Switch now for $44.99 a month. Call 833-278-4499.
Notice the high ceiling. Works every time.
Get Spectrum TV with more free HD and more free on demand from $44.99 a month. Call 833-278-4499.
The houses I've sold with Spectrum, I should be giving them a commission. I'm not going to do that.
Get Spectrum TV and Internet today from $44.99 a month each with no contracts. Call 833-278-4499.
Take it to the max on Six Flags triple record-breaking new launch coaster, Max Force. Get blown away. 0 to 78 miles an hour in 1.8 seconds. Go to visitlakecounty.org. Illinois, are you up for amazing?
We are previewing Forward Fest, Wisconsin's largest entrepreneurship and technology festival. 8 days, 40 events here in Madison that begins Thursday, August 22nd. And my guests are all Forward Fest board members, Laura Strong and Hilary Stohs-Krause and Tiffanie Mark. The idea that the mayor is coming is interesting to me. I have to have a conversation with Mayor Satya, because I think she is probably more fluent in this than any of our previous mayors. Paul Soglin was certainly very supportive. Dave Chislevich was there kind of at the beginning of this. But Satya, because of her breadth of experience and knowledge about other cities, seems particularly fluent in this. I'm interested to know how you anticipate that going.
You know, I think it'll go very well. I haven't had the opportunity to meet with her personally, but I have heard from a number of folks that are in different pockets of the business community.
Is there somebody who's going to interview her?
If I had to guess, I don't know the details, but I'm guessing it's Scott Resnick who's probably involved in,
would make sense.
That connection.
Right.
But I've heard that she's very interested in working with the business community and trying to identify ways to partner with the city to really advance the city itself alongside of different business communities. So I would anticipate that maybe some of our more kind of city tech focused folks would be very interested in that conversation. Sure. I'm thinking of somebody reminded me the other day that our bus information was actually a civic hacking project back in the day.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All three of you have had now multiple steps in your careers, layers in your careers, which I think is an indication of how the sector itself continues to grow in Madison. I would just like your perspectives on it. Now, 10 years into Forward Fest, I mean, that's roughly equivalent to, you know, the beginning of the Cap East Corridor and some real momentum behind the startup community. How would you describe it now, Tiffanie, where we are?
You know, I think that one of the important things to facilitate the growth of that community is the infrastructure that we're building around it, right? So that's the co-working spaces, the events that support entrepreneurship. And I think that we're seeing a huge growth rate in that right now, which I think is really going to be supportive to create kind of that framework to facilitate more entrepreneurship.
And by infrastructure, does that include what we call the ecosystem and all of the other business sectors that
and also the support networks, right? So the places that you're going to learn these things, the organizations that are connecting to help these conversations keep moving, so that the entrepreneurs themselves have those resources behind them and they have that support from the overall community.
It seems to me, Hilary, that more entrepreneurs are staying here, more young entrepreneurs, which I think is really positive. But are we now in a place where we are attracting entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, so again, my experience tends to be more with the tech side of entrepreneurship.
Yep.
But we get members in the Women in Tech group all the time who are like, hey, I just moved to town to work at X startup or to, you know, join this company.
Yep.
I don't know anyone. I'd love to meet people. And, you know, as Forward Fest attendees and number of events has like continually grown over the years. You know, Women in Tech, I think we were at like maybe 1,000 3 years ago, and we're at 1,800 now, because there's just so many people coming here for tech jobs or coming here, you know, to work at Epic and staying. because they love the city, and then starting their own tech company. I get emails every week from different startups or tech companies who want to host women in tech events, and we literally cannot have enough events to have them at all of these spaces, which is such a good problem to have. I mean, there's so many amazing companies springing up here and growing here and staying here, and it's just really, really exciting.
I certainly consider Exact part of the ecosystem.
I would say,
yeah.
I mean, it's a startup story of a company that really came here in a very early stage of its development and has really, I think, impacted the ecosystem in a very positive way. I think to that point, though, one of the things that we're seeing is these companies that maybe were ideas 10 years ago, or maybe had 1 or 2 people work on them 10 years ago, they're now in a place where we are not just as Exact, but as many other companies. I'm thinking about Eat Street and a lot of these other larger companies that started small and are growing. We are recruiting from all over the country, and we need talent. We need homegrown talent, but we're also trying to fill the roles from all across the country.
We just have a minute left. Ticketed event? Get a ticket for the whole event, individual events? How does that work?
So we try really hard to keep the cost down for all of our events. I think the max price is a one-day conference for maybe $75 or something like that. So a lot of the events are free. We try to make them all over the city, try to get people to really just attend, whether it's at the library, maybe a $10 networking event somewhere. So just check out the website, forwardfest.org. A great list. We've tagged the events. There's so many now. We've tagged them for interest areas. So attend something.
And we didn't do a great job on this, so we'll tell people, look for the food and the music and the games that are a part of this. And you can get tickets online at forwardfest.org.
Yes.
Thanks very much. Have a great festival.
Thank you so much.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
MG&E, building a community energy company for the future through the power of working together, committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Energy2030together.com.
As someone living with COPD, I know how difficult it can be. Every passing day, it was getting harder for me to breathe. I was becoming less active, and I didn't have a lot of options. I felt like I was getting boxed in. I was waiting for better care or even a ray of hope.
There is now an alternative treatment option for chronic lung disease sufferers from the Lung Health Institute. Using a patient's own cells, our innovative cellular therapy treatment helps promote healing of the lungs through a safe and natural process.
Call 866-732-LUNG to get started.
Stem cell therapy gave me the answers I was looking for, and now I'm back out doing what I love.
With an over 95% satisfaction rate, we've helped patients nationwide.
Call the Lung Health Institute today at 866-732-LUNG.
Why does it seem like the other mobile companies don't want you to keep your phone? We don't mind. Keep your phone, save your money. Switch to Spectrum Mobile.
MG&E, building a community energy company for the future through the power of working together, committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Energy2030together.com.
Our thanks to Laura and Hilary and Tiffany, and to you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.